Welcome back, everyone. Today's story is about how the smallest details can reveal the biggest truths. It's about trust, love, and that moment when everything changes. Let's begin. I remember the sound of coffee dripping every morning. Rhythmic, comforting. It was our beginning to each day. Sarah would sit by the window, scrolling through news on her phone, while I prepared breakfast. 7 years of this ritual. 7 years when I thought I knew her better than myself. The first crack appeared in March. She began staying late at work. "Big project," she'd say, kissing my cheek. Her lips felt cold. I blamed it on exhaustion. We all get tired. We all drift apart sometimes. I didn't want to be that husband who suspects and controls. But memory is a treacherous ally. It collects details while your heart remains blind. New perfume. Laughter that sounded different when she talked on the phone in the next room. Glances in the mirror that lasted longer than usual. She was studying herself, as if preparing for an audience. I started noticing patterns. Tuesdays, she left early. Thursdays, she returned late. Her phone always lay face down. When I entered rooms unexpectedly, she'd quickly put it away. "Work messages," she'd explain. But work doesn't make a woman smile the way she was smiling. The atmosphere in our home shifted. Conversations became shorter. Her attention drifted. She was physically present but emotionally absent. I told myself it was stress. Everyone goes through phases. But deep down, something whispered that this was different. The turning point came in June. We were at her parents' house for her father's birthday. Family dinner, warm evening, everyone gathered around the big table. Her mother was telling old stories, everyone was laughing. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, and her face lit up. Not just a smile, pure radiance. I hadn't seen that expression in months. She stood up and said, "Sorry, this is important." Walked out to the garden. Through the window, I watched her talking, gesturing, laughing. Her voice carried softly, but the tone was clear. Tenderness, playfulness, intimacy. She hadn't spoken to me like that in ages. When she returned, I asked, "Work?" She nodded, but her cheeks were burning. Lies have a color. They're pink and hot. That night, I lay sleepless. Beside me slept a woman I'd loved for 7 years, yet I felt completely alone. I understood then, she wasn't mine anymore. Perhaps hadn't been for months. I'd simply refused to see it. Her breathing was steady, peaceful. She seemed content, while I stared at the ceiling, counting the hours until dawn. The distance between us felt like an ocean, though we shared the same bed. I wondered when exactly she'd stop loving me. Was there a specific moment? Or did it fade gradually, like autumn leaves changing color, so slowly you don't notice until they're gone? Hashtag part 3, the name revealed. The following weeks became a quiet investigation. I didn't search through her belongings or follow her. I simply observed. Noticed details I'd previously missed. Her mood changed with incoming messages. She seemed happy when her phone stayed silent around me, but the moment it buzzed in another room, she came alive. The name revealed itself by accident. She was showering, her phone lying on the nightstand. The screen illuminated. "Michael, can't wait for tomorrow." One line, but it explained everything. Michael, her colleague she'd mentioned these past months. "He's helping with the project," she'd said. Now I knew who he was, but I didn't yet know what to do with this knowledge. I found myself analyzing every interaction we'd had recently. Every late meeting. Every work emergency. Every time she'd smiled at her phone. The pieces formed a picture I didn't want to see, but couldn't ignore. The cruelest part wasn't the betrayal itself. It was the realization that I'd become a stranger in my own relationship. She was sharing her real self with someone else, while I got the leftover version. The tired, distracted, going through the motions version. The end came in August. We were having dinner at home, discussing vacation plans. She suggested Turkey. I preferred Italy. Normal conversation of a couple building a future. Then her phone rang. She looked at the screen and said, "I need to take this." Now, during dinner. She was already standing. "It's important." Something inside me broke. Not anger. Not rage. Just exhaustion. From pretending. From ignoring the obvious. From living with a ghost. "Who is it?" I asked quietly. She froze with the phone in her hand. "Work." "Michael." Her face went white. The phone kept ringing, cutting through the silence between us. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Her silence said everything. How long? My voice was calm. I surprised myself with that calmness. She lowered the phone. The ringing stopped. It's not what you think. What do I think? Tears appeared in her eyes. But they seemed theatrical to me. Too perfectly timed. Too beautifully rolling down her cheeks. I didn't want it to happen this way. But it did. She nodded. That night I packed my things. Not everything, just the essentials. I rented an apartment across town and moved there. She didn't try to stop me. Perhaps she felt relief. Finally, she could stop pretending. We processed the separation quickly. No drama, no scandals, no fighting over possessions. We parted quietly, the same way we'd been living those final months, together, yet apart. Sometimes I think about that dinner, about the sound of her phone ringing, about the silence after my question. She made her choice. I simply allowed her to live with it. Michael stayed with her. I hope he makes her happy the way I once did. I don't feel angry. Anger is energy directed toward the past. And the past no longer exists. There's only morning coffee in a new kitchen, and it drips in silence that no longer deceives. This story reminds us that sometimes the end of one chapter is the beginning of another. Love isn't always forever, but the lessons we learn from it can change us for the better. If this story touched you, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. Remember, you're stronger than you think, and every ending can be a new beginning. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our latest stories. Your support means everything to us. What would you have done in this situation? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. Until next time, take care of yourselves and remember, you deserve love that doesn't make you question your worth.